If you shut down in practice, you're going to shut down in the game.
Everybody comes here for one purpose, and that's to do everything they can to help Notre Dame win.
Spring ball is for skill development and getting everybody to understand how important it is for 11 guys, 85, 105 to come together.
At the 86th annual Blue Gold game, the weather is just as much a celebration as the culmination to the spring football season. Temperature in the mid-70s today on an idyllic weekend in South Bend, buzzing with activity with multiple Irish sports in action. Tailgaters can get a glimpse of their favorite one, but for football fans, it won't be at Notre Dame Stadium, still less than 6 months into an extensive renovation project. The annual spring game has had to relocate to the nearby LeBar Practice Complex, where instead of the usual 40,000 that can watch at the stadium, an intimate crowd of just around 4,000 are the lucky ones able to get a final up-close look at the Irish in a game that will help shape the team this fall. Well, to say the least, last year's Notre Dame football season was up and down. Out of the gates at 6-0, they were ranked as high as 5th in some of the polls, and then down the stretch, a much different story. They lost 5 out of 6, including 4 in a row, finally bouncing back in the Music City Bowl in Nashville with a big win against SEC power LSU. As we bring in Doug Flutie, the story there was that Brian Kelly gave Malik Zaire his first collegiate start as quarterback. And then the battle is on. Who's it going to be, Everett Golson or Malik Zaire in this upcoming football season? In fact, such a big subject, the entire spring game is geared around that.
It is geared around that, and because of that, the quarterbacks are live today in the first half. And they have to be live for these two kids to play to the best of their ability. They're both athletes, extend plays, move around. Everett Golson, the coaches are raving about his spring. He is all in. Technique-wise, release fundamentals, decision-making. And then you look at Malik Zaire, phenomenal athlete. The coaches say he's still a work in progress, but there's no denying that every time he steps on the field, he makes plays. And he's done it. He's been productive. He was great in the game against LSU, and we're going to see him go at it today.
And obviously there are other stories which we'll be getting into as the course of this 86 spring game gets going. But the headline, obviously, is the situation at quarterback. And with more on that, here's Carolyn Mano with the head coach himself.
Dan, thank you very much. Coach, so much of this matchup driven around the quarterback position. What are you hoping to gain from being able to evaluate both quarterbacks out here today?
Well, it's a competitive situation. It's, it's a lot more real than, scripting and, putting them in a situation where you know the defense and you already know what you're getting. So, they've got to create. They've got to take care of the football. They've got to make decisions, that require instinct and preparation. So, it's a competitive situation, and we've really created that for them today. So it should be fun to see them work.
Where have they improved specifically, both Everett Golson and Malik Zaire?
Well, I think Everett in the pocket, fundamentals, and attention to detail. I think for Malik, accuracy and throwing the football, because we know he can run the ball really well. So I think you'll see both of those things, and we'll kind of make sure we call the game towards those two things so we can see those things today.
Coach, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Carolyn. And a look at the rules of this Blue Gold game. First half, 2 12-minute quarters. Second half, 2 15-minute quarters. The clock will continue to run, so that second half will be about a half hour or so. Quarterbacks, again, as Doug mentioned and Brian talked about, live in the first half. Possessions begin on the 35-yard line, so no kickoffs, but there will be punts, but they will be fair caught. And the scoring system for the offense, the traditional points scored with touchdowns and field goals and the like. But you get 2 points for chunk pass and run plays of certain yards, and the defense scoring with turnovers before the 50 and on down, turnovers after the 50, and they even get a point for a sack. Well, there's been so much talked about in this heated rivalry between Malik Zaire and Everett Golson, but it didn't look too much like that just before game time a few minutes ago.
Do that dance. You know how to do that? Come on, bro.
Everett Golson inviting Malik Zaire into a little pre-blue gold game Irish jig, Doug.
Honestly, that's great to see, though, with the competitiveness between these two all spring long. See him coming out. Now the anticipation of which guy comes out first.
Well, the offense in blue, the defense in white. And there is Malik Zaire, who not only got his first collegiate start on that Music City Bowl, but was the MVP of the contest. So out comes Everett Golson first to lead the offense. Again at the 35-yard line. Zaire watching closely. And Brian Kelly telling us yesterday, to get the quarterbacks in the rhythm of the game, they're going to have successive series here. So we'll see how much he adheres to that. And on the first play of the game, we've got a flag, as the ball was handed off to Tarian Folston.
False start, offense, number 79, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that's on big Steve Elmer, the right guard, and we mean big offensive line, the biggest, most physical, and most impressive offensive line in Kelly's tenure by far.
6'6", 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", and 6'7" across the board.
So back they go on 1st and 15 now. Golson with a handoff to Folston. And last year's leading rusher gets it up back to the original line of scrimmage.
And right away, we see him run the zone read, which Everett had a little issue with last year, a year ago. He's cleaned it up a little bit this year, and they're saying he's running it much better.
Monday.
The theme to that is they want to get more depth between Everett and the line. And we'll be explaining that a little bit more as the game goes on. And here's Golson, going to keep it along the left side and up to the 40-yard line before he's brought down by Cole Luke, the corner.
Again, Everett Golson was deep on the zone read, made it an easy read for him. He decides to keep the ball. Great decision, takes it around the edge.
And right back up to the line on 3rd and 4. And there's that, you can tell Golson is different with his footwork back there as he hands it off to Folston.
No doubt about it. This is something we didn't see a lot of. We saw some of last year with him. Last year, Everett had a tendency to gain ground while at the mesh point and get a little too close to the line of scrimmage. Here against Northwestern, the ball ends up on the ground. So you can't gain ground. You've got to keep your depth, and if you keep your depth, it becomes a little more clear-cut and easier decision.
Folston picked up the first down, so it's at the 45-yard line. Golson stepping up, hanging in there, and running it out. Again, live quarterbacks. I talked to some of the defensive players yesterday. You saw Jalen Smith kind of come off Golson there. Yeah, they're live, but they're not going to lay out their quarterback, right?
You got the impression that they are not going to lay him out, that they want to bring him to the ground. They're going to be aggressive and tackle. The only guy, maybe Jay Hayes, got a little chippiness to him. He may take a shot at the quarterback today.
So a good gain, 2nd and short. And out of the backfield comes Folston, the leading rusher for the Irish last year. Running backs Folston and Greg Bryant, the two here in the spring game in the spring season, and because there's a couple of freshmen that aren't coming in until the fall, that's why C.J. Procise, number 20, has been worked in to the running back situation. And we'll see exactly how much action Procise gets. There's Greg Bryant, number 1, on the sidelines. But Procise, another one of the big stories in the spring. Folston getting all the carries inside the 30-yard line before Max Redfield brings him down.
And talking about C.J. Procise, they are excited about him. He is explosive out of the backfield, carrying the ball. They always assume putting him back there, they can catch the ball out of the backfield and bring a different dimension that way. But when he started carrying the football, they got excited.
So Greg Bryant checks in to the backfield behind Everett Golson. There is Procise, number 20, 6 feet, 220 pounds, had a 70-yard run in the last big scrimmage a week ago. Golson to the air, and he's got his favorite target, Will Fuller, who had a huge season last year as a sophomore. 15 touchdowns for Will Fuller. That was 3rd in the country among the FBS schools.
Great decision-making by Golson on that. Quick feet, sure of his read, delivered the ball on time. And like you said, Will Fuller was the big play guy last year.
So Golson and the offense on the move. There's another example of him kind of shifting back before he hands off to Bryant, who moves the pile close to the 5-yard line. Greg Bryant, 5'10", 205-pound junior.
It really does look a lot cleaner execution on this zone read now.
Whistles come in to stop play as a member of the defense is down. And it appears that is Niles Morgan, part of that linebacking core that has been rejuvenated by the return of some players. Morgan got a lot of work last year because of all the injuries. Joe Schmidt was injured. Jerron Jones is still not a part of the spring practice roster for defensive coordinator Brian Van Gorder. And Jarrett Grace is now on the field, back again a year and a half ago. Suffered 4 fractures in his leg. It has been an unbelievable journey for Grace to get back. He just got into contact work a short time ago. And when we were talking to the players yesterday, Doug, all of them absolutely inspired by the return of Jarrett Grace.
Boy, they light up when you talk Jarrett Grace and his story, and he's an inspiration to everyone. They are so excited for him to be back on the field, and now his first live contact in this blue-gold game.
So the ball just outside the 5-yard line on 1st and goal. This is the opening series for the offense, led by Golson. The fake to Bryant, and then Golson trips and falls for a big loss back outside the 15.
He had a sure touchdown to Durham Smythe, releasing in the flat, came off the play-action fake. He has an easy, wide-open touchdown, and he slips on the field and goes down. Watch number 80 on the left of your screen, slip to the outside. That's Durham Smythe, no one covering him in the flat. All Everett Golson had to do was turn and flip him the ball.
And again, the big knock on Golson last year, when the patience finally ran out for Brian Kelly, was the turnovers. 14 interceptions, 8 fumbles lost for a total of 22. And finally, Kelly had to make the move and start Zaire in the bowl game after he replaced Golson in the USC game. But there's another example of what Golson can do when he keeps it.
Boy, he had Jarrett Grace coming off the edge, unblocked. And Everett stepped up through, makes the unblocked man miss, steps up through and runs it up the middle. These are the dimensions of your athletic quarterbacks, especially in the red zone. It comes into play. Both these quarterbacks have that ability.
So Jarrett Grace manning that middle linebacking core for the defense, trying to keep Everett Golson, the offense, out of the end zone. Golson takes the snap, hands it up off the middle, and the defense swarming over Greg Bryant there for no gain.
Creating a 4th down situation here down on the goal line. Maybe that's a situation where C.J. Procise, a bigger back, could make a difference with this team in short yardage and goal line.
Brian Kelly, entering his 6th year as the head coach for Notre Dame, says it is the best depth by far that he has ever had. The decimated defense by injuries last year, but with the return of Grace and the expected return soon of Joe Schmidt, Jerron Jones, and Sheldon Day as well. Lots of promise as Golson takes it up into the end zone for the first score of the game.
Appreciate it, Phil. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So a pretty impressive start for Everett Golson, given the controls of the offense first before Zaire.
And it was a very efficient drive, using all the zone read plays, and Golson using his feet a lot in that drive. The touchdown there was against a full-out blitz, man-to-man coverage, and they still managed to block it and turn it into a cakewalk into the end zone.
So the kicker of this game is Tyler Newsom. The holder is Deshaun Kaiser, the 3rd-string quarterback. But again, Justin Yoon, an incoming freshman, will be the field goal kicker for the Irish in the fall. Well, all of the players wearing decals in the back of their helmets in this game in honor of Father Ted Hesburgh, who passed away in February. He was incredibly influential as the longest-serving president of Notre Dame. 35 years from the early 50s to the late 80s, helped build this university from a small college known largely for just its football success into one of the nation's premier higher education institutions. Steadfast champion of human rights, did so much around the world. Father Ted Hesburgh was 97. We'll be right back. Well, there is the way the Notre Dame football schedule stacks up for the 2015 season. Not much time with a good program in Texas coming to South Bend to get things going. 3 primetime games, not only Texas, but then you've got USC in October, and another primetime game on the NBC Sports Group networks will be Boston College, Doug, at Fenway Park. I imagine you'll have fun there. Malik Zaire now takes over for the Notre Dame offense, floats one up, and almost coming up with the interception was Matthias Farley.
Little panic mode there by Malik. Zaire in the pocket, has a man in his face, and does the cardinal sin of just throwing one up for grabs.
Now, you were a quarterback, obviously. You would never embrace a 2-quarterback system from a quarterback's perspective, would you?
I've been in my share of quarterback controversies, 2-quarterback systems, and it undermines your leadership, your authority on the field. You cannot be looking over to the sideline wondering whether you're coming out, am I going in? How are you a leader when you're standing on the sideline and on 1st and 10 the other guy's out there? Or when you drive the ball inside the 10-yard line, the other guy comes in. And it's just very difficult to get a rhythm and be a true leader of the team.
And that's not to say that there's not going to be one starter named before Texas. And that's not to say there's going to be a 2-quarterback system, which Brian Kelly obviously has had success with in the past. If you talk to Malik Zaire, he's more of your thinking. He says, I want to be the man. I think a team needs one guy. And Malik Zaire is trying to earn that spot. Good run at the far side for the first down before Farley finally runs him out.
Yeah, that's his attitude about it. And I think it's great to have that attitude. I really don't think, I think publicly, though, you have to toe the corporate line and talk the team up, and 2-quarterback system will work. Whatever coach decides will work for me. But deep down, and he just expresses his feelings. He did a great job there, moving out of the pocket. That's what he does well. He makes plays with his feet. He's a phenomenal athlete with a ridiculously strong arm.
And a bigger foundation than Everett Golson. While Golson's about 200, Zaire goes about 220. Play action. Zaire wheeling to his right, near sideline incomplete. That was intended for Torrey Hunter. We mentioned the depth for Brian Kelly as we take a look at some of the key players returning on offense. Will Fuller, we talked about him. You got Corey Robinson, Amir Carlisle, Folston, leading rusher from last year, and C.J. Procise. And up front, the big guy, Ronnie Stanley, electing to not go to the NFL. That was a big plus mark on that offensive front, which is very big and very physical. 2nd down from midfield, and Greg Bryant gets the call. Not much at all as a flag comes in. Tavon Coney, one of those early enrollees, with the stop.
No game. Flag down.
Holding, offense, number 70, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
And that's on the backup lineman, Hunter Biven. Well, we talked about the returners on offense. Here are some of the notables on defense. And in the line of Ronnie Stanley Stain, huge good news for Notre Dame fans that Sheldon Day decided to come back for another year. Jerron Jones has been hurt. Romeo Okwara, Isaac Rochelle, some of the other key guys. Jalen Smith, the leading tackler. Niles Morgan, who was hurt. Joe Schmidt will not play because he's still coming back. Will be cleared for contact soon. And Zaire on the loose down the far sideline. Flag is down close to midfield, though.
But again, that's what he brings, explosiveness at the quarterback position, both with his legs and his arm. We saw him miss a throw on the outside. I think Torrey Hunter slipped a little bit coming out of that route, so he's a little inaccurate on that, but he makes plays.
Holding, offense, number 11, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
So that long run by Zaire comes back due to the holding call on Justin Brent. This guy can move, 220, Doug.
And, you know, you saw there he made a move on Farley. He's looking back to the middle of the field. He's not looking to go out of bounds. Here's a look at the hold. They wrap the arm around the back. Yeah, that's pretty clear cut. But he wasn't looking to go out of bounds. He was looking to cut back into the middle of the field and get all he could out of the run.
On 2nd and long, C.J. Procise in there. We talked about him as a running back, and he will not hesitate to take it north-south. Again, This is a wide receiver who earlier in his career at Notre Dame was a safety and now expected to get, you know, maybe 8 to 10 carries a game as a running back.
On that run, he was a little bit upright, and you might expect that from a tall wide receiver playing tailback. But the first time he carried the ball in a scrimmage, they ran an inside zone, and he did not bounce it. He laid it up in there, laid his shoulder into the linebacker, and drove him. And again there, drove the pile forward. He's not afraid of the contact inside.
Brian Kelly telling us that originally they got him back there. They wanted to see him coming out of the backfield with passes, but then after he got his hands on the ball, he said, wait a minute, that can wait. He's so good with the ball. And going up high is Corey Holmes. Nice catch from Zaire for the first down. Well, there's also a lot of depth and good players returning in the Irish secondary. Cole Luke is back. Max Redfield, who is a different kind of player there at the safety position.
And potentially for the fall, Kavari Russell.
One of the big storylines was Max Redfield and Elijah Shoemate and their improvement at the safety positions. This is Zaire. Again, running out of bounds. And again, he's live, but you get a sense of his mobility.
Run out of bounds by Jesse Bon Jovi there at the corner, number 34.
Wait a minute, Jesse Bon Jovi.
At the corner, ran him out of bounds and gets credit for that tackle.
Son of the music star and your good friend, John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, John's here today watching Jesse. He lit up the first day Jesse jogged out on the field. John always brings the camera. He's a proud daddy.
There he was, walking in earlier to the LeBar practice complex.
And it's actually good to see Jesse back on the field. He had an ACL injury and is now back at full speed.
So on 1st and 10, in Malik Zaire's first control of the offense, moving them down the field, and Procise is wrapped up in a hurry at the 30. There's number 93, Jay Hayes, who's added some 20 pounds in the offseason.
Yeah, it's 20 pounds in the offseason. He's got a little hop in his step there after the tackle. How many fights did he get in this spring?
He's been described as a little chippy.
He turns out, and he doesn't care if it's the veteran guys.
But Brian Kelly likes that.
He's got Notre Dame kids. They're all good kids. He's like, over at Louisville, maybe I was a little used to that. Here, we didn't know what to do. We let him go.
Zaire floating to the right, incomplete. That was intended for Tyler Luatua, one of the tight ends, as we check in with Carolyn Mano.
But Dan, you mentioned this is Brian Kelly's 6th season. It's also the 6th season for his parents who are here today, Paul and Regina. You can also see Brian Kelly's other brother, Paul, there as well. They have been to every single Notre Dame game, his parents, since Brian Kelly took the head coaching job. And in fact, they spend their seasons here in South Bend. Brian Kelly got them a place really close to the Notre Dame campus, and they travel with the team. So they are absolute diehards at every game, Dan.
Father-son goatees, Doug, as Coach Kelly sporting a goatee, which he says will be shaved off soon. Zaire across the middle, and grabbing this one is Justin Brent. Just grabbed it out of the air and waltzed into the end zone. So Zaire with a touchdown pass.
Very nice anticipation and throwing the ball over the middle. Safeties were a little flat there and in a position maybe to break on it, but this is trust in your receiver. Throwing it across the safety's face. Nice hands reaching up, high point the ball, tuck it away and get in the end zone. Nice route, good delivery, and throw a little climbing in the pocket instead of trying to escape out the back door for Malik Zaire.
Brent, an early enrollee last year, was expected to contribute, but did not catch a pass as Tyler Newsome pounds that one through. And the offense in charge early at the 86th annual Blue Gold Spring Game. Dan Hicks, Doug Flutie, Carolyn Mano back at the Notre Dame Blue Gold Game on an absolute perfect day for football. They've got the men's lacrosse team, the top-ranked team in the country, going to be starting up their game later on this afternoon. Just across the way, we got the soccer field to our right. And so even though we're not in the big Notre Dame Stadium, Doug, it's a fun weekend, especially for all the students and the fans here on a beautiful weather weekend in South Bend.
I'm just watching the baseball game off in the distance.
That's right. You can see the diamond from here as well. So Golson is back at it for the Notre Dame offense, and so is Tarian Folston. Well, we mentioned the renovation of Notre Dame Stadium. The planned stadium renovation will cost an estimated $400 million. More than 750,000 square feet of teaching, research, performance space, student life, recreational facilities. I think that's the spot where our NBC trucks will be rolling in sometime in the future. And there's a guy who's had a big part of that, Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director here at Notre Dame. Very excited about the largest building project in the history of this school as Holston is strung out to the near sidelines. So I hear we're going to get a pretty nice booth when it's all done.
That's what it's all about, right? That's that whole project.
Sure.
The whole project is about the booth for us.
Yeah, right.
Will we have access to concessions? Will we have air conditioning? Yeah, you know, these are the important things.
This was a tough ticket to get into this LeBar practice complex because of it. Again, just about 4,000 here as they attach 3 new buildings west, east, into the south sides of the stadium. That project to be completed in 2017. On 3rd down, Golson from the gun. He's got Jarrett Grace coming up the middle with pressure, and he gets it free to Corey Robinson for the 1st down. So Golson avoided Jarrett Grace, who looked pretty good there on the open field trying to chase Golson down, but
Grace comes clean through the middle, off an X stunt, boom, right through. Everett Golson makes a play with his legs. A little dangerous throw, but keeps it high to a big, tall, lanky receiver in Robinson. Corey Robinson became a go-to guy in crucial situations last year.
big play there for the 1st down. Robinson slowed a bit this spring because of the concussion. This is Folston, who's not going to get any yardage. Romeo Aguara and Sheldon Day along there up front for the stop. It's been an injury-plagued career for Sheldon Day, even though he's had great success, Doug. You're just wondering if he's finally going to put together an injury-free kind of season before he leaves Notre Dame to really show everybody what he can do.
Yeah, he came back to leave his mark on Notre Dame. That's what his words were. He wants to leave his mark on Notre Dame. He hasn't had that big season yet. Last year, potential NFL draft, decides to come back because he knows if he plays the way he's capable of playing, he could be a high draft choice.
You know, we just saw a shot. There she is again, Carol Boyd. That is Sheldon Day's mother. She is sitting probably about 20 feet below us. I can hear her from up here easily.
We heard her before we saw her, no doubt about it. We heard her half an hour before the game started.
She will cheer for her son and has been doing so since he was just a little guy. There she is. We don't need to mic her up.
No.
You know, our booth, again, just above her in the stands here at LeBar Practice Complex. So Sheldon Day and the Notre Dame defense with a break as we've reached the end of the 1st quarter. We'll return to South Bend after these messages. You're watching Notre Dame football, the Blue Gold game on NBC SN. In the words of head coach Brian Kelly, you're looking at the new race team for the Notre Dame offense. Brian Kelly is the owner of it. Mike Denbrock is the crew chief. And Mike Sanford, who is 33 years old, the former offensive coordinator just for 1 season at Boise State last year, is the driver. And this is a work in progress as Kelly, Denbrock, and the newcomer Sanford kind of get in sync here before the Texas game in September.
Yeah, Mike Sanford's primary role this spring has been to clean up footwork and execution of the offense, technique things. So we are consistent offensively, he says. There's no gray area. It's black and white. This is the way it's done.
Golson, the quick hitter to the outside to Will Fuller. And Fuller breaks a few tackles and gets close to the 1st down marker before Elijah Shoemate runs him out. Well, you saw Denbrock and Sanford, just a small portion of the coaching changes that were made in the offseason here at Notre Dame. Tony Alford, who was the recruiting coordinator here and a real key figure for Notre Dame, took a job at Ohio State. Matt LaFleur, the quarterback's coach, is back with the NFL's Atlanta Falcons, and Kerry Cooks went to Oklahoma. So Autry Denson and Todd Light, former Notre Dame superstars, are now part of the Irish coaching staff. That was Amir Carlisle trying to go up top and grab the Golson pass, which was a little high. And there is Todd Light, former Irish All-American, national champion, Super Bowl champion, Doug.
And the players talk about the former players coming back as coaches. They look at them, they idolize them and say, hey, they've done what we want to accomplish. Todd Light, national championship. Audrey Denson, obviously leading rusher. They accomplish the things that these kids want to accomplish at Notre Dame, so they're an inspiration. Also, having the new coaches, the energy level is way up. The kids are flying around, the coaches are flying around.
On second down, the give here is to Carlisle. Trying to turn the corner and making a nice open field tackle there is Nick Watkins, who is the leading man at corner on that side for now before the expected return of Kivari Russell. Remember, there were 5 players suspended last year for Notre Dame because of academic reasons. Kivari Russell expected to rejoin the team, although it's not official yet. But he's one of the best corners in the country.
He's a press pro-style corner, can get up in your face, man-to-man press, and be a lockdown corner out there on one side of the field.
There's another new coach, defensive line coach Keith Gilmore.
It's all in the family, huh?
Coaching experience. Yeah, this is the 4th stop. Keith Gilmore has been with Brian Kelly at all of his head coaching collegiate positions that he's had through the years. Also was a former teammate of Brian Van Gorder at Wayne State.
Queen. Go ahead. Open hand. You got the stick.
Lots of audibleizing there by Golson, who was talking to Durham Smythe, and now he goes downfield and incomplete. Torrey Hunter was down there.
Great recognition, dummy cadence, potentially drew the defense offside, read the blitz, made the audible, communicated the audible, ran the correct route. The throw and the execution, I said this looking at film the other day on Everett Golson. Throw that ball to the outside and flatten that corner route out. Torrey Hunter running towards the corner had an opportunity. He had a defender on his inside. Just throw the ball almost not low and away, but to the outside and make him flatten out to the ball.
A big void for the Notre Dame kicking teams to fulfill is the absence of Kyle Brinza. This is Tyler Newsome. He's going to be the punter for Notre Dame. He's also been kicking today, but again, Justin Yoon, an incoming freshman, has already been named by Kelly as the guy in the fall. So Kyle Brinza, the all-time leader in field goals for Notre Dame, gone after a stellar career here.
You're a veteran guy on this team, an upperclassman, a senior, a guy that's been to a national championship game, seen games won and lost with field goals. There's a high school senior that's not even here yet, is guaranteed a starting position.
You can't believe that,
and he's going to be winning games or losing games for it. It's like, that's a scary thought.
Well, he is considered by many to be the top kicker in the country. We will see. It's a pressurized position anywhere, especially here at Notre Dame. Stanley Cup playoffs continue on NBC and NBCSN at 3 Eastern Time. The Red Wings take on the Lightning and the Wild take on the Blue, either on NBC or NBCSN. Please check your local listings. And then tonight, the Jets and the Ducks. C.J. Prosise giving the fans another chance to see his running abilities across the 30. In the words of Kelly, Prosise just towers over the other running backs. He's like 6'1", 220. Quick hitter out here to the near side to Robinson, who almost got loose along the sideline.
Both quarterbacks so far on these wide receiver screens are throwing the ball too high. Their footwork looks good, but the throws are just sailing on him, and that costs you big yardage. Corey Robinson almost busted that down the sideline. If he had a chest-high throw, he might have gotten there.
Zaire is the quarterback. And the quick hitter out there to Amir Carlisle. And one of the things that Kelly said that Zaire has to work on is he gets on his back foot too much when he throws. And that has partly to do with his real solid foundation in those legs, right?
And when he sits on that back foot a little too long, he overcompensates with his arm coming forward and winds up throwing the ball low and into the ground. Now, I don't know if that was the issue on that last throw, but it was low.
Also, in the words of the coaching staff, some of the checks by Zaire from time to time can be, in their words, puzzling. So he's still learning the offense. He has not had a lot of time out there as he runs it over to the right side. Again, coming into this season, he'll have put up just 35 passes in his Notre Dame career.
That's why they say he's a work in progress, but he continues to make plays. He's so darn athletic. He's got a strong arm. He can throw the ball from just about any position on the move and throw some lasers, and it's made big plays. And it was obvious last year when he stepped into the LSU game in the bright lights that doesn't affect him. He doesn't care if it's a practice. He doesn't care if it's the big-time game with the bright lights on. He goes out and balls.
He says his idol is Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers quarterback, because he's absolutely in control all game long. And Zaire waited, and Doug, you got excited over there about that opportunity. Well, C.J. Prosise was wide open.
When Zaire broke to the right, C.J. Prosise turned it up the boundary and took off deep and was wide open. And at the very end of the throw, he just short arms it and leaves it short and in the dirt, rolling to his right. It's a little more difficult. He tried to flip his hip and make the throw, but inaccurate on the throw.
So on 4th down, Zaire heads to the sidelines, and Newsome's punt just goes off the right side of his foot as Will Fuller was awaiting it. And the offense will take over just across the 15-yard line. 16-3 now in favor of the Blue offense here. Tomorrow at 4 Eastern, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is on NBCSN. IndyCar's bold new design put to the test in America's most iconic street venue. The Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach tomorrow at 4 Eastern on NBCSN. Some of the boats along St. Mary's Lake cruising yesterday around the campus here. C.J. Prosise, number 20, in his latest position as running back, has been one of the big storylines this spring, and he reminds people of another guy that Carolyn Mano's with right now.
That's right, Theo Riddick. It's been a warm welcome for him as well. All of his old teammates coming over and jumping on his back. So happy to see him. Yeah, beating you up as you get ready for another season in Detroit. When the coaching staff looks at C.J. Prosise and the transition that he's made to running back, your name always comes up. And he was a safety when you were here as a senior, right? What have you seen in him this season and also in his development?
I think obviously he has great ability. He's very athletic. He can catch the ball. He can make guys miss. And that's why I think they want him back there, and they want the ball more in his hands at running back. A receiver, you only can get about 5 or 6 touches. At running back, you're going to get a lot more, you know. So obviously it's a good thing for him, and I guess we'll see what happens this year.
Let's watch this play real quick. We'll come back to you in just a moment.
Okay, Carolyn's Malik Zaire again in at quarterback. And a fake to Bryant, and he stumbles, regains his footing, and finds Bryant in the flat. And he sheds a couple tacklers before he gets stuck there and brought down as we send you back over to Carolyn.
We won't take up too much of your time because I know you're getting excited watching your guys compete. How nice is it to be back here? I know you're enjoying so much success at the next level, but what do you value most about coming back to the Blue Gold game?
I just think just networking, man. I just think it goes a long way. You know, these guys and coaches, let alone just players, have done a lot of things to obviously put me where I'm at today. And I just want to return the favor and come back and, you know, show my face and, you know, tell these guys that, you know, give them tips whenever they need or et cetera. And just tell them, you know, that your goal is right there. You know what I mean? Just keep working hard and obviously trust these coaches.
Theo, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you.
Dan?
Thanks, Carolyn. Greg Bryant on the carry, brought down on that play by Elijah Shoemate. Shoemate and Redfield, we were talking to Brian Van Gorder yesterday, Doug. These were a couple of guys late in the year last year that were basically benched, a little bit in the doghouse, but they have been one of the big stories of resurgence for the unit this spring.
They're in the second year of a defense now, and their knowledge of the defense is
long pass complete to Will Fuller. And if you think Everett Golson has an arm, so does Malik Zaire, who floated that one up beautifully. Nick Watkins on the coverage, but Fuller with another example of what he did last year with 15 touchdowns.
Brian Kelly said it last year. Will Fuller can run by anybody, anytime. He just takes off. Zaire hangs on the ball a little bit and then turns it loose, a perfect strike down the field. He's explosive. I'll tell you, Malik Zaire makes big plays. Sometimes it looks a little helter-skelter. The reads aren't perfect and the execution isn't perfect, but boy, he makes plays.
You know, we were talking this week about the arm strength of Everett Golson, which is well documented. But you pointed out that Zaire maybe has just as strong an arm.
If not stronger. And in this particular drive, they flipped offensive lines now. Malik Zaire's working with mostly first-line offensive line in that last drive, had the protection, stepped up and let it rip. But even when his feet are in a bad position or he's on the move, he just flicks the wrist, and that ball, the revolutions on the ball are fast, and it's flying.
Brian Kelly says this is a battle between Golson and Zaire, which he says will go right into the fall. It'll go right up to game time, maybe. And then it might be two guys against Texas. Who knows?
We go back to saying, you know, my philosophy, my attitude is you want one guy to be the guy, no doubt about it. Well, there's no way he can determine at the end of the spring, because if you say one guy's the guy, the other guy may take off. So diplomatically, he's not making a decision until the fall. If he makes that, there's the comparison. You know, it just keep both guys around as long as possible, because you may need both.
Golson is in there, and you bring up a very good point. Golson could do the grad school transfer in June and get his degree here, go and, you know, not have to sit out and play somewhere else if he thought he wasn't going to be a big part of the offense. And then you've got Zaire, who's been biding time, waiting for his chance. So it is a tenuous situation for Brian Kelly to deal with both of these guys. He hopes he'll have them the full season and be able to platoon them, perhaps. So we will see.
Great awareness there by Everett Golson on a corner blitz. Jesse Bon Jovi coming off the weak side corner. He sees it, throws the hot. Nice reaction. That's the type of execution he can have. Everett Golson is all in this spring. Make no bones about it. He has been first class in the classroom, on the field. His execution, he is all in.
In fact, it was Mike Sanford, the new offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, who told us that this guy, meaning Everett Golson, reminds me of Andrew Luck, the way he takes notes in the meetings. A low snap there that Golson has to scoop up. But that is an ultimate compliment to compare him to Andrew Luck as far as in the classroom and looking at film.
I mean, when you're talking to a guy like Andrew Luck.
Illegal snap, offense, number 53, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Mentally in the classroom. That's high praise. And then also Brian Kelly saying he's got a release like Sandy Koufax, that it's polished. He's got two hands on the ball. That worked with George Whitfield a prior offseason. So he fundamentally sound, where they keep saying about Malik Zaire, it's a work in progress.
Mentioned that Sanford was at Stanford. That's another one of the stops he's made in his young coaching career. He was heavily involved in recruiting at Stanford before going to Boise State, where he was an accomplished quarterback. But Sanford was one of the real hot commodities in this country. And when we asked Brian Kelly yesterday about how's it going with the new young kid, just 33 years old, he says he has exceeded all of my expectations so far. He says he's the kind of guy that can turn the room upside down. And Kelly said, and I don't want to be the guy counted on every day to come up with the idea. I want this to be a collaborative effort, and a guy that's got some of the best and newest ideas is Mike Sanford.
And Brian Kelly has always been a guy that hires coaches he's comfortable with. He's been around before. And being a new guy, Sanford comes in with new ideas and brings a freshness to the offense.
More movement, more flags.
Full start, offense, number 13, 5-yard penalty, third down.
And that was Tyler Luatua from the tight end position, jumping off sides. And that's another subject, a good subject in Notre Dame history, with a long list of past stars at the tight end position. But gone has been Koyak. He leaves after taking over 1,000 snaps last year for the Notre Dame offense, the busiest guy on the offense for Brian Kelly's team. But Luatua is the backup right now to Durham Smythe, who is the only tight end of the 4 or 5 that even has a catch, one. So they're excited about their tight ends, and they're excited about Corey Holmes' catch there. Devin Butler brought him down, but a nice juggling catch by Holmes.
It was actually great patience in the pocket.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 96. That penalty is added to the end of the catch, first down.
Peter Makwa was flagged. You got a roughing the passer in a spring game. That is exactly.
That won't sit well. Oh, he hits him in the face too. He comes up high. It was not as blatant a late hit as you might think. It was just the fact that he caught him in the face. But on the pass, Carlisle was sitting down on a short route, and I'm thinking, give him the ball, give him the ball, give him the ball. Everett Golson was patient with the route, let it develop, hits the deep in route behind it for a big gain.
Machwa might get a quick talking to it. Dude, this guy's somewhat important to the squad. Take it easy. Well, nice deflection there of the pass by Greer Martini. Mentioned the tight end history here at Notre Dame, and again, it runs even deeper than this. Fasano, John Carlson, Kyle Rudolph, as we work up to the real modern era with Tyler Eifert, number 80. Durham Smythe also wears that same number 80, and again, just one catch for Durham Smythe, but Brian Kelly calls him clearly the #1 tight end right now. He's doing everything the tight end needs to do, the best of the candidates.
It's kind of scary when they're starting to talk. They put him in that same light as the former tight ends that were All-Americans and in the NFL now, and start thinking he's got those types of skills, and he only had one catch last year.
Well, there's no one looking forward to the Texas opener more than Durham Smythe, a native of Texas. In fact, he's got a countdown clock on his phone of the lock screen of the countdown to the Texas game, so he can look at it every day and remind himself we've got Texas on September 5th. He originally committed to Texas. He decommitted from the Longhorns team a month before signing day, and then it came down to Notre Dame and Stanford, and in the end, the Irish won out. On 3rd and 7, Golson looking for a hole, not much there. Again, Greer Martini to close it up. Well, the first meeting since 1996. What a good one it will be in prime time in the Notre Dame opener in September. All-time wins, 2nd and 3rd. Only Michigan above the Irish and Longhorn programs. And it was a bit of a rough start for Charlie Strong last year, but he had to kind of put his stamp on that program.
Yeah, he has his spring game today as well. He's got a quarterback situation going on there with Tyrone Swoops being the incumbent, and Gerard Hurd, a freshman that everyone down there is excited about, trying to unseat him.
Well, Tyler Newsome with the first field goal of the game from 30 yards out. Blue offense 28-3. The spring game at Notre Dame. Again, first half here with 2 12-minute quarters with the normal clock stoppages with 3:50 left. We remind you that coming up at halftime, Liam McHugh, Keith Jones in the studio talking Stanley Cup playoffs. The Rangers shutting down Crosby and the Pens in game 1, and Anaheim's unheralded stars. All of it coming up at halftime on the U.S. Bank Sports Report. By the way, again, the second half will feature 2 15-minute quarters with a running clock, and it'll be gone in an instant.
That'll move in a hurry.
So we will continue to see Golson and Zaire here as the quarterbacks in the first half, and then we'll get a look at the third-string quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser, in the second half.
We may wind up with a nice little 2-minute drill coming up. We got 3:50 left in the half.
Malik Zaire at the controls for Notre Dame. Fake to Bryant. Wheels to his left, and Durham Smythe, the aforementioned tight end, gets his first catch of the game. Well, this guy, probably of all the players, and of course the new players, an early enrollee, Jerry Tillery, the talk of the Notre Dame defense. He's got size, 6'7", 300, and he's just got, well, Brian Kelly told us he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Jerry Tillery, number 99 in the game for the defense. The story of spring, by many accounts.
He knows how to use he came in knowing how to use his hands and get off blocks, something that Brian Van Gorder said it takes years to teach these guys. You just got to yell louder and louder. He had the great coaching from his high school days, came in ready to play both physically and technically, and he is a special kind of kid.
And it's not just the coaches. You ask any of the Notre Dame defensive players, and you bring up the name Jerry Tillery, and they're like, oh, wow. Well, dude's going to be one of the all-time greats here.
Nick Martin was saying, I can't handle him. Starting center, I can't handle him.
On 3rd down and 5. Zaire Going up top and just over the outstretched hands of Greg Bryant, who is streaking down the field. Well, for more on Big Jerry Tillery, we send you down to Carolyn Manor.
Well, Dan, his recruitment process was anything but ordinary. He was committed to Notre Dame, but then continued to take trips. He went to LSU, even went to Dartmouth. And Coach Kelly was telling us some of the coaches were getting a little antsy, you know, questioning his loyalty to Notre Dame. But Brian Kelly knew something that they didn't. When he took the recruiting trip to Jerry Tillery's house, he went into his bedroom and promptly saw a huge Notre Dame bedspread, a wall covered in Notre Dame everything. So he was telling his coaches, hey, guys, don't worry about it. Jerry Tillery's fine. He's coming to us. He just didn't share with them at the time why.
Yeah, he says, don't worry, we got this guy.
And then also on the wall was the periodic table of elements. All right?
Right.
So this is not your typical football
and the
player.
flags of the world.
And flags of the world as well. Unbelievable kid.
He requested a meeting with Father Ted Hesburgh as well. And very unusual for a player to come in, and he also wanted to meet the women's basketball coach, Muffin McGraw.
Well, it just shows a higher level of understanding and awareness. He took the other trips just to experience the other trips. He is a special type of kid.
Big Jerry
And he's supposed to be a high school
Tillery.
senior right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you look at Tavon Coney, who we saw yesterday as well. Doesn't look like a high school senior to me, an early enrollee. Well, Everett Golson is mic'd, and he was earlier having a little fun with his left tackle, Ronnie Stanley.
What you gonna do with it, bro? You got your knee braces on. Hey, you gotta make it work, bro. You gonna choke Max for me?
I'm gonna score.
You gonna choke it? You gonna choke Max
I
for
don't
me?
score before he buy me.
But you gonna score for sure. I hear you now. Hey, you got a lot riding on this, bro.
Golson back to pass. Whistles come in and stop the play. But you can bet that Golson is happy to have Stanley back in a Notre Dame uniform this season.
That was another big returnee to solidify that left side of the offensive line. And, you know, that whole conversation is about some kind of trick play where the ball is going to be in Ronnie Stanley's hands, and he's going to have an opportunity to run over Max Redfield.
The one offensive line spot that is really undecided right now is at left guard. Alex Bars, number 71, is in there right now, but he is in a heated battle with Quentin Nelson for playing time at left guard. The other positions have been pretty much decided. That ball deflected at the line of scrimmage by Jacob Matuska. And Kelly also telling us that Alex Bars and Quentin Nelson could both play during the season, so he not hesitant to give them both time.
Well, Alex Bars is considered more of a technical guy, great feet. He's always in the correct position. He's 6'6", and he's the finesse guy, all right? So the mauler is Quentin Nelson, number 56, and he's more, gets his hands on you, it's all over, drive people, move them out of there, and he's 6'5", 322, so, or 325. So, I mean, he's the big boy, and the 6'6" guy is the small boy.
Decisions, huh? Golson wheels out and incomplete. He wanted Torrey Hunter, who is attempting to double as a baseball player for the Fighting Irish. Two-sport athlete. His dad, of course, is the Major League All-Star for the Detroit Tigers as well, but not easy to be a two-sport guy, Doug, is it?
No, and he's met all his commitments for both squads, especially the football team comes first. But to be able to play baseball and do this, he has no free time in the spring for sure.
Hasn't had a lot of playing time in the baseball diamond, but this punt, fair caught, as all the punts are in this blue-gold game by Will Fuller. And so the offense with good field position just outside the 45-yard line.
Balls at the 46.
The Premier League weekend continues tomorrow morning at 7:30 Eastern Time. Last season's champions Man City running out of time to defend the title as they take on West Ham, Manchester City. West Ham coverage begins tomorrow morning at 7:30 Eastern Time. Golden Dome on the campus of Notre Dame, and the Fighting Irish with the golden helmets all shined up. Malik Zaire loose out there.
Yeah, he's a little nervous about this quarterback competition, don't you think? He was actually the one in the pregame that started the dancing. But it was nice to see the two of them kind of dancing together and still enjoying each other's company. And they still get along, but it's a heated competition. But his confidence level, Malik Zaïre's, is through the roof.
He's a good quote. You know, he makes the coaching staff a little nervous sometimes with a lack of a filter. He says it's not ideal out there. At the end of the day, there can only be one Jack Sparrow, is how Malik Zaïre described the quarterback situation as Procytes gets another carry.
Would you want Jack Sparrow out there as your quarterback and your leader? I mean, a drunken pirate that wobbles around and takes... But I understand. There's one captain out there, and I agree with that philosophy, no doubt about it. You know, players look for leadership. If there's a split situation, it can always divide the locker room, and the upperclassmen want to be with the guy that's won for them and been in battle with them.
Fake to Procyse. Golson comes out on the right side. So based on what you've seen so far as we get down to the final minute or so here of the first half, any separation between Golson and Zaïre?
From an execution standpoint, I believe Everett Golson is far and above cleaner in the way he plays the game. But Everett's missed a couple of hitch screens where he's thrown the ball a little high, had a couple balls batted. But overall execution, he's there. Malik, it's a little more helter-skelter, but Malik Zaïre continues to make plays, moves out of the pocket, hit the big play, hit the one down the field to Fuller for the touchdown, and he continues to make big plays. So, no, I don't see it's going to be a tough decision.
There's Golson handed off to Procyse, who gets the first down with 1:16 left.
As the ball pops out at the end. Now, there's something we haven't thought about with a wide receiver playing tailback, getting in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
You put that ball on the ground a couple times, get back out there in the slot, will you? We got a minute on the clock. Start working the clock a little bit here. A little bit of a 2-minute situation.
Procyse didn't really play running back in high school much. He played most of his running back days in youth football. And when you consider that he was recruited here as a safety, turned into a wide receiver, and then now is playing running back, this is a special guy who has just proven himself to be more and more versatile.
Watch coming from right tackle. McGlinchey pulls around, and he just envelops a defender there and puts him on the back. That's Niles Morgan. So your big tackle pulling around there and putting a linebacker on his back. That's a pancake.
2nd and 4. Golson gives to Bryant, who last year, if you watch some of the games, we talked about Bryant has a little bit of a propensity to put on one too many moves. He's got such incredible skills and talent. Just by looking at him in this game, he seems like he's not doing that as much.
Yeah, I'm sure all spring long they've been on him to hit the hole, press the hole, and go. One cut. And you know, Brian Kelly said it when Procyse went back there in the backfield. If I were those other two guys, I'd be a little worried right now. So they want to make the most of their carries.
Best game for Bryant last year was the 79 yards he had in a loss to USC. And there is Stanley. There's what Everett Golson was talking about. He goes, that's your moment. Don't screw it up. And the big guy hauls it in and ends the first half in style.
It was
Stanley.
Cole Luke that had to make the tackle, not Max Redfield. So you got your little corner coming up to hit the big tackle. This is actually a nice little throw because it was dicey at first. And he reached up high. Stanley caught it in his hands, followed his blocking, and then looks for someone to run over. When you're big, you're a heat seeker. You're looking for contact.
Well, you know, he's the former basketball player, remember, from Las Vegas, who played on a very good basketball team there and showed a little bit of that
great feet,
gracefulness. So Golson to Ronnie Stanley to end the first half, and we go down to Carolina.
We will be talking to Coach about Ronnie Stanley. What a great way to end the first half. But first, if I could just get you to evaluate what you saw from both quarterbacks.
Yeah, they started well, obviously, and they did what we asked them to do. We wanted Everett to run the football. I thought he did some really good things running the football. And, you know, Malik threw the ball down the field effectively. And you know, again, I think it was exactly what we were looking for from both of them. Both of them obviously can play very well and help us win football games.
Who else stood out to you?
I think the offensive line, I think, you know, their ability to control the line of scrimmage. I think the running backs, Greg Bryant ran well, CJ, Torian Folston. We know that we've got some depth there at the running back position. You know, Fuller's got great speed, elite speed down the field. And then defensively, you know, I think, you know, the same guys keep starting to show themselves. You know, you know, Max Redfield at the safety position is a guy that we're going to be able to count on a lot for us, and Elijah Shoemate.
So is that how you're going to draw it up for Ronnie Stanley at Texas?
Well, you know, I feel bad for Cole Luke that he had to make that tackle. We wanted to get the play in, and you know, we wish we just, you know, had one less guy out there for him, but it was a good way to finish it up.
Coach, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Carolyn, it's not the only surprise. Rumor has it that there'll be another fun play to start the second half, so you want to stick around for that. Once again, lots of highlights in this first half, but Doug, I gotta go with my favorite. The new connection at Notre Dame is Golson to Stanley, and look at Ronnie lumber his way up. Yeah, he came through, he got a hard time from Golson, but the big guy hauls it in to end the first half. 28-9 Blue.
Due to the ongoing construction at Notre Dame Stadium, we realize many fans will not have the opportunity to attend this year's 2015 Blue Gold game. With that in mind, we want to give you, the fans, an opportunity to participate in the game. You'll have a chance to call the first play of the second half in Saturday's game on NBC Sports Network. For more information, go to UND.com/call-the-play. Go Irish!
And of course, they got all sorts of submissions. People can't wait to be the next, you know, play caller, right, Doug? And here are some of the examples. The goatee in honor of coaches.
Oh, absolutely, the theme of the day and the theme of the spring practice for Coach.
Abandon all hope, ye run the damn ballers. It ran the gamut here. Here's a three-leaf clover submission. So this play is going to be used to start the second half. So we will see exactly what they end up.
It better have a great name. The play itself doesn't matter.
I got a feeling the play was selected on the name
alone.
Maybe not the play itself. Well, as you can see, the red jerseys are back on the quarterbacks. Golson and Zaire were live in the first half, but that will not be the case here to start off the second half.
Looks like both of them are on the field right now.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to get another look at him. We were expecting that we might not see Golson and Zaire in the second half and see most of Deshaun Kaiser, who I'm sure we'll see, but Zaire out there with a red jersey on to start the second half. Again,
well, if ever
running quarters.
Ever Golson in the slot, very thankful he has a red jersey on if he's in the slot.
Golson out there in the left slot with a red jersey. Let's just see what this play is. Okay, the give back to Golson. This is the play that the coaches chose from the fans. And a wide open Zaire. Oh, and spoiling the day is Max Redfield, who just broke it up. So that was the play with Zaire and Golson both in the offensive set. That was submitted and won out. And in the end, you know what? Redfield's going to get a hard time for that.
I think so. He wasn't on the program there. He wasn't on the union plan. He decided to go make a play. And I'll tell you what, Malik Zaire fought him for the ball. Everett Golson turned this thing loose. It's probably 70 yards in the air.
Max Redfield says, not in my neighborhood. There is the play, and there's the name. The inebriated Irishman draws it up, only to be spoiled by Max Redfield.
So does the name describe Max Redfield on the play? Or the receiver? That's a great name for a play, great effort, nice throw. It became a tug of war. Max is going to get a hard time over that.
And Coach Brian Kelly will sign that play for the inebriated Irishman to have forever. John Cherison here on to kick. And he busts it through.
The extra point was kicked by John Cherison.
So let's get back to Golson's performance in the first half. Doug, a closer look.
Last year, a lot of his struggles came in the zone read game. Now he's a lot deeper, kind of slower, and allows it to happen, making good decisions. Sees the end of line close down there. Now they're staying home. Turns it loose up to Folston, up through the middle. Good, solid decisions here on the goal line, following his guard around and into the end zone. He's making good decisions in the zone read game which is allowing him to be two-dimensional, use his legs. It's a much more efficient way for him to move the football than standing in the pocket all day throwing the football.
And Zaire at cornerback now as we get back to more real football here.
That wasn't real?
No, that inebriated Irishman will not be a part of the offensive racing team for Brian Kelly. There is Folston with his first carry of the second half. Had several carries in the first half. Romeo Okwara, part of that deep defensive line core up front, which again is playing without Jerron Jones, who's out of spring practice because of foot surgery that he had in December. But Van Gorder and Keith Gilmore and the whole defensive coaching staff excited about the depth of this defense with everybody getting healthy again.
Tillery is in there at nose, the freshman, actually high school senior.
Tillery, big number 99. A little late to the pile, but back there was James Onwalu.
Boy, Carlisle turns back, goes to the inside on the middle linebacker. Niles Morgan coming through, and Carlisle, bam! Not bad for a wide receiver slash was a running back, now a wide receiver. He's had a great spring, by the way, catching the football and running routes as well. Nice to see the receivers lighting them up.
Niles Morgan taking a seat. So 3rd and 14 at Zaire.
Good to see Morgan back on the field after an injury in the first half.
Zaire getting some pressure, able to get rid of it, but incomplete to Robinson. Talked a little bit about this wide receiving core. They've been a little bit overshadowed with new arrivals, Jerry Tillery and C.J. Procise, but it is a very deep wide receiving core. Chris Brown, Corey Robinson, Will Fuller, of course, who we talked about earlier.
Corey Robinson, a great threat in any situation. If you're in press coverage with him, if you're in the red zone or throwing the ball high, does a great job of high pointing the ball, going up and getting it. Made some crucial plays in 3rd and 4th down situations last year. Will Fuller down the field, speed, has worked on his route running this spring, and has last year caught a lot of hitch screens, caught a lot of downfield routes. Now he wants to be efficient in the intermediate routes.
Well, we saw John Bon Jovi earlier, and equal celebrity star power in Corey Robinson's father, the Admiral David Robinson, who does not miss a game, home or away or here on a beautiful spring day in South Bend.
Just a proud dad, gets to every game. You see him going in through, you don't miss him through the airports or on the plane when he's on, and he supports Corey. It's funny, we asked him last year about, what advice do you get? He says, I know nothing about football. I just cheer loud.
In fact, I believe he was on the same flight with one of our staffers coming over here to the game.
He was, I forget who it was.
Quite surprised that the Admiral was able to get on board of one of those small regional jets.
That landed here at South Bend.
So Golston in his first action, minus the inebriated Irishman play of this second half. Complete to Chris Brown. Again, coaches telling us that it was has been a very impressive spring for Chris Brown. Only touchdown last year was a 50-yarder against Stanford, but was second to Fuller in catches, hauling in 39.
On that last play, Doug Randolph, number 44, came off the edge, pretty much unblocked. Everett Golston avoided, and with the red jersey, Randolph pulled off and allowed him to sprint to the outside. So that's not quite live action.
2nd down and 5 for Golston. And eludes the pressure. And play is stopped. That was Andrew Trumbetti, number 98, who had Golston on the run.
All right, Trumbetti comes off the edge and goes right to him. Now, live, if it's live action, Everett Golston may make him miss and spin out of this. It's not a sure thing. That's why in the first half, they had to go live on the quarterbacks, allow them to use their athleticism. So now, with this situation, you realize you got to stand in the pocket and get rid of the football and get rid of it in rhythm and on time.
Trumbetti, an early enrollee last year, and ended up contributing with all the injuries on defense, and that ball is hauled in by Torrey Hunter, who looked like his dad making a circus catch in the outfield. John Turner was on the coverage of Torrey Hunter Jr. Flags are down to the backfield.
Foul, hands to the face, offense, number 70, 15-yard penalty, repeat third down.
Hands to the face, penalty on number 70.
It's Bivin who just got beat around the outside. Hunter Bivin, we've seen this on a little bit of film. He struggled out on the edge a little bit. His man goes inside, he gets the hands up high into the face. He got beat around the corner by Trombetti. And this ball was a beautifully thrown ball high over the linebacker's head, who is Grace, going down the middle field. And Torrey Hunter leaves his feet over the middle, catches the ball at the high point, and knows he's going to take a hit, and hangs on the football.
Again, the clock will continue to run here in the second half as we continue to see Golson and Zaire play quarterback for Brian Kelly's offense. Golson's pass incomplete to Corey Holmes. There have been a lot of conversations with Everett Golson this spring with the media. In fact, that was Everett's choice. He knew he was going to get asked time and time again about the speculative rumors about transferring. He just wanted to end that and concentrate on football. And so Brian Kelly says, you know, we understand that, but, you know, come fall here, it's obviously going to change.
Even with our meetings, he wanted to focus on football. And I fully understand that, being in that situation before. Of you're in a tight situation, you're a competitive situation, you want to put your best foot forward, and this was a very important day for him career-wise, and he wanted to focus on it.
And again, Brian Kelly says that Golson has given him absolutely no indication that he is going to do nothing but stay here at Notre Dame.
Going to mark the ball at the
Clock has continued to roll. Stop now at 4:31 as, again, 2 15-minute quarters with the clock continuing to roll, but a timeout has been called, so 4:31 left in the third. We go down to Carolyn Manna with a key member of the defense last year, hoping to get back soon.
That's right, Joe Schmidt, who's working his way back from a broken and dislocated ankle. I know you're not able to be out there today, but excited to get back soon. How are you doing physically?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome right now. Just getting back into the swing of things in spring practice. A ton of rehab, you know, a couple times a day, and just getting back out there with the team. It's awesome to be back on my feet. Great to be back out in the field. So I'm happy to be out here.
You're one of the leaders of this defense. Everybody looks to you. What's your assessment of how you guys are looking heading into the fall?
Obviously, it's still early. You know, we're just trying to build chemistry, just kind of come together as a team. This is a really formative period for us, so it's trying to just strive to continue to get better every day.
We were just talking before, and Joe was telling me that he's actually rooming with Jarrett Grace.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Jarrett Grace, and we got to see a little bit of him today, everybody just smiles. I mean, he's such a positive influence on the team. What's it like rooming with him and also having him back as you guys put this linebacking core back together?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for us. Jarrett's always been he's a great player, but he's a great leader, great friend to everyone on the team, and he's somebody that holds everyone accountable and you know, kind of helps increase productivity for everyone on the field. So it's gonna be great to have him back. I'm really excited to work with him. We got a great setup next year, and hopefully as we move through this summer, we can really start to build on the success he's had in the spring.
Good luck to you in your recovery and next season.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, Dan.
Thank you, Carolyn. Two no more inspirational players than Jarrett Grace and Joe Schmidt. I know a little bit about perseverance.
Boy, both of them. I ran into Joe Schmidt yesterday. He shows me his scars on his, I mean, they're nasty scars, right? Dislocated and broken. And then you talk about Jarrett Grace having the hardware.
C.J. Procise showing that physical ability heading upfield and giving Max Redfield a little hello.
But Jarrett Grace had his first hardware taken out of there, and Morrod put a new one put in. I mean, the scars and the equipment, people don't understand the extent of these injuries, and that these guys are so committed to, when you get that kind of injury, the first thing you start thinking about is getting back out on the field, and how do I do that?
There were some dark days. He was depressed, Jarrett Grace was, and told us so yesterday. And it wasn't really until that second surgery when he got some new hardware, as you talked about, put in. That is really the turning point where he finally began to feel like he was getting better, because there were some points where he was having some setbacks where he thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to play again.
Yeah. He said you couldn't be up all the time 24/7, and those setbacks, they keep pushing back his return date. and it was frustrating for him. But to see him back out on the field, to see Joe Schmidt, two leaders that are going to have worked their way to get back out on the field, it's an amazing story.
It happened in October of 2013 against Arizona State. 4 fractures in that femur of Jarrett Grace, and again, a rod was inserted, and there it is. With the first one that they took out, they put another piece in there. They took a graft from his hip and, in his words, compressed it along with another rod, different material, and that seemed to suit Jarrett Grace, and he's been making some great progress ever since. Still has a long way to go, as he will admit and Brian Van Gorder will admit, but Grace is on his way, and if he can contribute, and they expect him to in 2015, great story.
And he was talking to us about he still feels like he's playing on one leg. He can't really jump off that left leg, and he can't wait. He plans on this summer being able to get that bounce back in his step, and as he put in his words, feel like an athlete again.
Yeah, he said he was doing a vertical jump, and as he went up, he kind of went off to one side as if he had the one leg still doesn't quite have the punch. 3rd down and 2 as Zaire continues to direct this drive.
Little man-to-man coverage, he's audibilizing.
Bryant got by one defender, but dances his way for the first down.
He did pick up the first down, but again, you know, a few extra shifts and moves there. You know, whether they were completely necessary, I don't know, but we saw C.J. Precise take off around the corner, lower his shoulder, and be a physical runner.
As you look at Brian Van Gorder, of course, threw a lot at this young defense last year, Doug. He says things are coming along. We still have a long way to go. We got depth. That's good.
Experience, the safeties communication in their second year of this defense is elevated. That, Brian Kelly said, was the #1 thing that has come out of this training camp, or the spring camp.
Nice move there by Bryant, shedding one tackler.
That's the more physical run for him, breaking tackles and then lowering his shoulder at the end of the run.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter ticking down before they rack up another 15 minutes and the final running quarter of the game.
And as the coaches get to that 4th, no injuries.
Yeah, that's a plus. End of the 3rd quarter. Back to South Bend after these messages. You're watching Notre Dame football on NBCSN. So the defense, the gold team, inching closer to the offense number, which stands at 28. So a 1-point nail-biter. The 86th annual Blue Gold game. Earlier we talked about the incoming early enrollees, and this is the incoming class of 2019 on the offensive side of the ball. Tristan Hodge there, who you see is the nephew of Merrill Hodge, the former Pittsburgh Steeler great. He's an early enrollee, and the rest of the incoming class. Tavon Coney, early enrollee. We talked about Jerry Tillery. Micah Treadway, also one of the early enrollees as well. Deshaun Kaiser, the 3rd-string quarterback, is now in for the Notre Dame offense. And his first handoff is to Josh Anderson. So we're going to see some deep guys on the depth chart here, you can bet, on this final quarter. There's Deshaun Kaiser, who Brian Kelly really had some great things to say. He said, if it wasn't for this, battle between Golson and Zaire and 2 guys getting so many snaps, Kaiser would have even more of a grasp of the offense than he does. And he says, even with all that, he really understands the offense for us.
He says he's a smart kid. He just couldn't give him the opportunity because he has to find out about the other 2 guys. And it may be shortchanging him somewhat currently, but he may play an important role. At some point, if one of the other quarterbacks were to decide to leave, he'd be 1 play away from being on the field.
Well, we know he's going to have one important role, and that's going to be the holder. He's going to hold for the kicks. And we know about the problems that Notre Dame had last year when they went from Hunter Smith to Malik Zaire. Never really had it right, and Kyle Brunza lost his confidence and, really unraveled.
Found out how important that role is. It's an overlooked role, but having a quarterback in that position opens it up for fakes and other opportunities off a field goal.
So Kaiser from just inside the 5 on 2nd and goal. Looks to the right side, ball incomplete. That was intended for Justin Brent.
Nice timing on his footwork and throwing the slant route, but the ball is a little low and inside and ends up in the dirt. He did a nice job audibilizing down inside the 5-yard line here. Got to the right play, but misfired on the throw.
So there are your 3 Notre Dame quarterbacks. Golson and Zaire seeing if Kaiser can get it into the end zone. Throw a little high for Corey Holmes.
Talk about the 3 quarterbacks, and the incoming freshman next year would be Wimbush, a New Jersey kid that is considered the #2 dual threat quarterback in the country. So he's going to come in with high expectations as well. The recruiting just keeps coming along those lines. The tight end they're bringing in, Alize Jones, is what they consider at Notre Dame the best tight end in the country. And with Smythe only having 1 returning catch and being the leading receiver at that position, he may have an opportunity.
Yeah, he may push for some playing time. Indeed. Isn't it amazing how sophisticated the whole, 4-star, 5-star recruit thing has been? Shizer in the little low there to Corey Holmes.
And that was a 4th down play.
Nick Watkins on the coverage. Clock continues to roll. Just more than 12 minutes left in a blue gold game. Blue 28, gold 28. And we've got a safety in the end zone that was just called, which is going to add to the total 2 points for gold. They've now taken the lead 30-28 as they just had another point before the break because they had to stop after the 50. This is Deshaun Kaiser getting touched up. Thus the safety call.
See, that's the red jersey kicking in. He may have had an opportunity to get out of the end zone, but we're not going live on the quarterbacks in the second half, and he's making a move in the end zone, so all he has to do is be touched.
Well, Coach Brian Kelly is nice enough to don a headset that he can talk with us. I just want to get this officially out of the way, Coach.
Yes.
The inebriated Irishman play will not be a part of the playbook in 2015?
Well, if we throw it up for grabs like that, I think it's definitely got its name right. It's inebriated to the point where I don't want to see it again. But no, it was a fan interactive, and we got it called in, so it was pretty good. So we'll take it.
Well, we had a chance to see even more of Golson and Zaire with the red jerseys on in the second half. Anything change from your thoughts with Carolyn in the first half as far as those 2 guys?
No, I like the way they both competed. They both got an opportunity to do the things that we've been working on, right? In terms of Everett running the football, they both took care of the football, made some plays down the field. I thought it was very competitive, and it just, I think it just goes to show we've got 2 very good quarterbacks.
Another thing you're very excited about is the emergence of C.J. Prosise as a running back. He certainly got his chances today. What do you think of the job he did?
I thought he's got electric speed, but the thing that showed to me is the way he put his pads down on the sideline, and he'll run over you as well. So he not only has that great speed, he's got instincts, he's got toughness, and he was a real find for us this spring.
3rd and 8 for Deshaun Kaiser. And Kaiser a little low there. That'll bring up 4th down.
How about the offensive line, Coach, and the job they did with all the zone read work early with Everett?
I thought, from my perspective, Everett was outstanding in the way he read it. His footwork, he stayed, kept great depth away from the line of scrimmage, and it made it really clean for him in terms of his read. So, again, all the things that we worked on this spring, I thought they came to fruition in the game. So we got a lot out of it, and we got great tape. So when we come back on Tuesday, I think we've got a great opportunity to get better after we watch it.
Coach, it's been a fun visit with you. Thanks so much on a 75-degree day in South Bend. We'll see you down the road.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brian Kelly here at the Notre Dame spring game. 35-28. The defense has taken the lead.
Hey, you couldn't let the play ride. Hey, don't let it come to you, man. Go get the ball. Go get the ball, man.
Rick Golson giving Zaire a hard time. You got to go get the ball. That's why Redfield was able to get in there and pick it off.
Well, it's costing him an interception, and on the stats, when people pick up the paper tomorrow, they're going to find out he threw a pick and said, oh, Everett threw an interception. And he wanted the play to work, and I got to believe that Malik Zaire thought Redfield would allow him to catch the ball.
I think so, too. In the end, just goes down in the lore of great plays called in the blue gold game. Quarterback comparison, those are the final statistics for Golson and Zaire, as Montgomery Van Gorder is now the 4th quarterback to see action in this game, replacing Deshaun Kaiser. Van Gorder, the son of the defensive coordinator, Brian Van Gorder, having a little time in here with just 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, during the regular season, he was relegated to basically running the scout team, but does a great job at that. And he's a bright kid that understands the offense. To go out and execute an offense without getting reps is very difficult.
There's Dad watching from the sidelines. And Brian's going to put it up, and he's going to complete the pass at the 30-yard line. Pass complete to Austin Webster. So put Van Gorder's name in the hat for quarterback, huh, Doug?
Go get him.
The drama builds here, Doug. 2:18 and counting to go. 35-28 defense on top. Montgomery Van Gorder feeling the pressure, and the tap sack turned in by number 33, Johnny Williams.
Now the clock's going to be running, so really the 2 minutes on the clock is not a lot of time. You've got to get some plays run, try to stick it in the end zone. They're just going to try to go for 2 to win it.
Everybody pulling for Van Gorder here. You know what these guys do. You know the guys that run the scout team. Doug didn't see any game action. He acts as the opposing quarterback during game preparation. He's out there every day in the practices and having himself a little bit of the limelight here with the spring game on the line. Josh Anderson rumbling his way to the 25-yard line. Clock continuing to roll, 1.5 minutes left.
This is their opportunity to shine in front of some fans here and show they can execute the offense and maybe at some point get an opportunity.
Greer Martini and Drew Recker were there to run him out of bounds. Montgomery helped his high school team win back-to-back state titles in the Georgia Class 3A championships his junior and senior year, so the guy can play. And Montgomery rolling to his left, throwing it's got a man at the end zone, and spinning his way into the end zone for the touchdown is number 82, Nick Weischer. How about that? With 50 seconds to go.
Van Gorder rolling to his left, snaps his hips around and hits him down the middle of the field. Weischer makes the play, goes up, he's going to get lit up, holds on to the ball, stays on his feet, and gets in the end zone. Great effort by 2 guys just making a play.
Weischer a part of
Going
that
for 2 in the win.
Depth chart. Here we go.
As the clock's rolling.
Inside of 30 seconds.
This will be the last play of the scrimmage, game, whatever you want to call it.
Montgomery Van Gorder with a game on the line.
If they don't get it snapped by 0, there's trouble getting the play call in.
Well, the game clock here has it at 22, and our clock here on the screen. Now they're trying to get those in sync.
Either way, this is the last play no matter what.
Either way, this should do it. Maybe.
And it's touch football on the quarterback, so no scrambling and running.
Oh, Van Gorder loses the handle. Picks it up. Looking. Still buying some time, and that is the way it's going to end.
You've got to get rid of the ball and get it up for grabs in the end zone.
Coach Van Gorder saying, well, we had a little bit of drama there, son. We couldn't quite finish the deal.
But it was a big day because no injuries today.
So Everett Golson and Malik Zaire will continue this quarterback battle, in the words of Brian Kelly, into the fall practices as this spring game brings to a conclusion the 15th and final spring practice for Notre Dame.
Both quarterbacks showed well themselves. The strength of this offensive line will be big going into next year. The experience on the defensive side of the ball could be a very good football team.
Defense trailed for most of the game, but in the end, they win it 37-34 as we send you back down to Carolyn.
Well, Coach, we saw a little bit of everything today, which is, I guess, the plan when you have a blue-gold game. What are your impressions and takeaways?
You know, I thought, again, you know, if you look at the first half where we let the quarterbacks really do what we wanted them to do, I was pleased with that. The second half, it gets a little sloppy. But by and large, we were competitive. We didn't turn the football over offensively. I think defensively, we got to continue to grow. But again, I think, you know, when you get a chance to compete like this, it just gets your football team better. And we got out of it with no injuries.
And you've, exactly, as Doug pointed out, that's actually probably the best thing. You've highlighted the depth when we've spoken to you, that you have a team that can actually compete this spring. That's got to be so valuable for you moving forward, especially, like you say, on the line.
It is, and you can continue that through the summer and then into preseason camp. You know, we start with an incredibly tough schedule with Texas and then Virginia and then Georgia Tech. So you've got to be ready right out of the gates, and obviously this is going to help us.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Dan?
Thank you, Carolyn. The playing of the alma mater, which will put the capper on this spring game for the first time being played outside Notre Dame Stadium since the last renovation to take place there in the late 90s. So as they play the alma mater, Doug Flutie, some final thoughts from you to take away from Blue Gold 2015.
I think you have to look at both quarterbacks played exceptionally well, made some great decisions, and improved in certain areas that they wanted to improve in. But I think the number one thing for this team going into next year, once they decide on the quarterback situation, is that offensive line is going to be good. They're strong. C.J. Procyse had a good showing at tailback as well.
Quick thoughts, gut feeling. You think it's going to be two quarterbacks in the fall or just going to decide on one?
I think he's going to try to use a mix of it. He really likes Malik Za'ire's ability to make big plays, but Everett Golson is much more efficient right now.
Stay tuned. Reminder, 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs continue next on NBC and NBCSN. So far, entire crew here, Carol Amano and Doug Flutie, Dan Hicks saying so long from South Bend on a beautiful spring day. The defense wins it. We'll see you for the season opener as the Longhorns come to town in September.